Bang! Neeves knives. I'm Jared, my lovely wife Kara's busy, and today we are checking out the Reate Liong Mah Endeavor. So this is a Liong Mah design made by Reate. And if you guys don't know about Reate, Reate makes high-end production knives with amazing fit and finish. They're definitely at the top of the game when it comes to high-end production knives. Most of the better, I'm not going to say, because there are some high-end other production companies that are in the US, but as for China, they are a reputable company from China that makes high-end knives, and a lot of USA designers like to go to them to get their knives made because they can get, a bigger bang for their buck, I guess. So let's get into this. First up, I want to thank the Shadow Man for sending me this knife to check out. If you guys don't know who the Shadow Man is, he is an anonymous person that sent me an amazing box of knives to review, and also sent me an amazing box of knives as a gift. Absolutely incredible. And you know what, speaking of that, let's get into the size. So this knife is about 8 3/4, and I said speaking of that because I'm going to do some size comparisons with some of the knives he sent. So the blade length is 3.75 inches. It's not a small knife, not a gigantic knife, but it's a full-size big knife. So the XM24, Hinder XM24, you can tell it's a little bit smaller than that. And then here is the XM18 3.5 inch. So it's basically right in the middle of these two. It's a little bit longer than the 3.5 and a little bit shorter than the XM24. Here is another knife he sent, the Reate K2. And they're about even. They're like pretty much perfectly even. Then here is, you know what? Actually, this is in my pocket right now. This is a knife he gave me. The Spyderco Gale Bradley. And Slicey Dicey sent me the scales. It's a little bit longer than the Gale Bradley. Not by much, though. Like, they're pretty close. But it's a tiny bit bigger. Here is the Manix 2XL. Pretty close, but the Manix 2XL is just a little bit bigger. And then here's the regular Manix 2. And you can see it's a lot bigger than the smaller Manix, or the Manix 2. The regular one. But I think that's pretty good. Enough size comparisons. You know what? A lot of people know the Benchmade Reptilian. I'll just lay that out here too. I think that's very well known. You can see how much bigger it is than it. So this knife is an S35VN, titanium frame lock, titanium hardware, titanium clip. The back spacer is integrated into the two sides that go together, that are sandwiched together, which is beautifully well done. Everything is just lined up so good. Reate is known for amazing quality, so I wouldn't expect anything less. Let's get into this blade really quick. So the blade is a drop point, flat ground blade. I did not sharpen it, but I did hone it. I did use it. I did use it quite a bit. It's a bit of a hard use knife. It's labeled by Liong Mah as a utilitarian tactical knife. And yeah, I agree with that. That's basically what it is. You can see the thickness in the blade. Nice, good, reliable, thick tip, but still acute enough to do simple work with it. It has a finger choil right here that's not blocked, or like you don't get anything from the flipper tab here. You can basically go right over it. The flipper tab hides right there. You can see you got that little bit of jimping right there. No choil, which Liong Mah has been known, you know, to do this kind of design, where it's kind of a choil-less design. Behind the edge thickness is about 20 thousandths behind the edge. And then the blade stock thickness is 157 thousandths. You can see it has internal stop pins. And you see it right there, swinging around. I like internal stop pins. Internal stop pins make a very reliable lockup, especially for lateral movement from side to side play. So the jimping on the top, you can see it. It kind of tapers back like a saw, which is really good. It works so good. This jimping is great. I like this jimping. We'll get to the fuller in just a second, but you can see the different, like you see the belt satin, then like a polished satin flat, but then in there it's more of a blasted finish, almost like an orange peel. Okay, so the finish on the titanium, it's, you know, just I don't know what to call it, just a flat base, I guess. Not really blasted. It's nice and smooth. There's no milling over it. It is contoured very nicely. You can see this little ridge right there. It feels phenomenal in the hand. It feels very good. Fills the hand really good. This little bit of jimping sandwiched together fits my hand really nice. And then the choil, like, you know, this grip is just, it's great. In the hand, it is magnificent. You can see the same finish on the pivot. Kind of that orange peel. And then it does have weight relief inside there to add to a really good weight. And then a steel lock bar insert, ceramic bearings, and a ceramic detent. Let's get to the action. So, flipper tab, very low key, right? It's very small. You can't hit the blade back here or nothing. Everything's sandwiched in there really nicely. It's a small flipper tab, but it flips reliably. Flips very good. It's more of a kind of in the middle between a push button and a light switch, because you can push button it and you can light switch it, but it kind of just works better when you kind of just do them both, like in kind of an combination, if that makes sense. Now the fuller, because of that that orange peel, it's really grippy inside there and it feels good to flip. You can slow roll it out with your thumb, but the middle finger flick, you can do it up high, or you can go down low, which you even get more leverage. It is chamfered, so it's not like very sharp, you know, but it gives you enough bite from the edge that it works really good. I think it's mostly the texture that you get, so it's very nice to middle finger flick. I say the middle finger flicking action is better than the flipper tab, and you can thumb flick it out. It's a little more challenging, but you can easily do it, especially once you get it down. You just kind of got to like angle your thumb like kind of right, and, you know, put a little pressure. Middle finger flicking action's great. The access to the lock bar, even though it really doesn't have like access, it's pretty much just straight across. The blade stock thickness, or the gap between the two scales, is thick enough, and they did give you a little chamfer right there that's very comfortable. It's very easy to disengage. And you can get it up high where you can stop it with the flipper tab. Since the flipper tab is so small, you know, you want to be careful because it can go past it, you know, and then hit your nail or your finger or whatever. But very easy to manipulate. And the detent ball, when you do unlock it, nice and early, it's right there, so it's pretty much always past it. Now, if it does hit it, it's also easy to push past. I don't see a reverse detent track. I don't see a reverse detent track, but the geometry of the lock face is amazing. It's great. You can see how the bearings are trapped in there very nicely. Hard to even see. Everything is very tight. Now, the good and the bad. So, I just want to say, I read a couple reviews online. One was from a guy who named all the pros. And, you know, fit and finish, action, ergos, all the things. And then his cons, there was no cons. Then there was another review where a guy said that he tried to flip it, and 4 times, trying not to put pressure on the lock bar, it slipped out of his hand. He said it was basically like holding a fish or something like that, or it was easier to hold a fish in his hand than this thing. So he did not give it a good review. Now, I disagree with everything he said. I can put my finger on the lock bar without a problem, right on the detent, and it doesn't, I don't have no issues. So I don't know. The centering is perfect. The milled clip, it doesn't sit that deep. So you do have a little bit hanging out, but not much. Really, it's really kind of deep because you really only have this hanging out. And that's just enough to kind of pull out. Anyways, so I really like the blade shape. I love drop point blades. I like that I could get up here close to the blade. The ergos are so good. Love the ergos. The action's really good. Love the middle finger flick. I love this this texture in the fuller for the flick. The action's great. The fit and finish is amazing. I love all these tight tolerances and the finish. Like, it almost looks like a integral. And then you can see there's an over travel stop for the lock bar in here, so you can't unspring the lock bar. Nice big hardware. It's all T8s all the way around. And then it's got the same finish on all the hardware. The texturing, there's not really much texture, so excuse me. I love the belt satin. That looks beautiful. Now let's go and talk about, oh yeah, I love the internal stop pins too. I always like to see internal stop pins. You see that on, you know, it seems like every time when I see it, it's usually a pretty strong, well-built knife. Let's talk about the bad things, though. There are a couple. So, one, I'm not too crazy about choilless knives because I want to sharpen. And, you know, the more you sharpen, you're just going to go up higher or go back farther. Now, even if you don't sharpen back here, which you probably shouldn't because you have this finger choil, you're still going to go up the blade a little bit. Not that big of a deal. But it is a thing, but it's really not that big of a deal. It'll take a long time before it really shows. Another thing, it is a little slick. It's not, there's really no texturing. I wouldn't call it a wet fish, but it's not, you know, it's not grippy. But the ergos are so good that it's locked in. Even just like this, without no jimping or nothing. I mean, you couldn't get this out of my hand, even twisting and turning. I mean, this thing locks in really good. Now, if you hold it like this, it's really solid. I mean, everything about it's solid. But I don't like, it's not that I don't like. Let me rephrase this. It can scratch very easily because of its non-textured surface. You're gonna see scratches eventually. You will eventually see scratches. Next thing, this clip, it's kind of a ball. Like, instead of a ceramic ball, it's a titanium ball. I don't like it. It doesn't, you know what? Okay, let me explain. Going in the pocket, it's just fine. Coming out of the pocket, it pinches the pocket. And it's not even that it's got a ton of tension, but man, it wants to tear your pockets up. Maybe after a while, or maybe, let me say this. If you took it off and polished the surface of that ball, I bet it wouldn't be as bad. I think it just kind of gets a little grippy. Now, it's not that bad. I think I made it sound worse than it is, but it's not that great. Now, the action, ooh, that's me. That was left-handed too. The action is great, But the flipper tab could be a little more, I mean, it's not bad. Let me just say that. But like this Reate is hands down better with the flipper tab. Now you don't have a middle finger flick from this, and it's basically just the shape of the flipper tab. You just get a more authoritative thwack when it pops out. Now with this one, you don't get that. It's just not as, I mean, you can still get it. I mean, you got to put a little more effort into it to get it like that. But now, if I'm just going to slowly, it still flips reliably. So that's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, the flipper tab's small. That's all it is. So if you like small flipper tabs, this might be right up your alley. But it still flips reliably without an issue. The next thing, it's a little thick behind the edge. Okay, let me... It's not that it's thick behind the edge. It's that the geometry can be better. If this was 20 thousandths behind the edge, great. That's perfect. Make it a hollow grind, though. Because then it's going to be 20 thousandths here, 20 thousandths here, and then it won't start getting thicker till up here. It gets thick quick. So, I mean, it gets up from 20 thousandths to 157 thousandths. So, I mean, you do the math. That's pretty, I mean, it's not a horrifying thing. It's not like it's crazy bad, but it's not crazy good either. And I feel like for $425, I'm not complaining about the 20 thousandths behind the edge. I like that. It's a tactical, utilitarian, you know, hard use knife. And this definitely is a hard use knife. I'm not complaining about that. I just wish it was a hollow grind. You know, they still could have kept the durable, thick tip, put a hollow grind here. It'd be, you know, nice and slicey and cut through materials better and still have the strength from the spine and the tip. And, you know, if you did want to do light duty prying or anything, it would still be very, very strong. But that's basically all the complaints. I really, really like this knife. And I was trying to debate with myself of which one of these two did I like more. You know, I like the blade shape on this one more. I like the action more on this one. I like the middle finger flicking action on this one because this one just doesn't have it. You know, I like that this one has a choil and this one doesn't, but I like that this one has a finger choil and this one doesn't. So it's like they're so different, but they're still both made by Reate, and they're both amazing, amazing knives. Which one would I pick right now, hands down, if you asked me? Probably this one. Two reasons. One, the action. Two, this is pretty unique. Like, this looks cool. Looks like a katana. The hollow grind here. And let me just say this. I like this blade shape more. I like the grind on this one more. But this one, you know, I like a drop point more than a Japanese tanto. This is a great Japanese tanto, though. I like this Japanese tanto. And I like this knife, too. I like them both. They come very close. It took me... I don't know how long I've had these now, but I've had them for like 2 weeks, and it's taken me every day thinking about it, which one I like more, to come up with that decision. And I bet in a week I could possibly change my mind. They're both amazing knives, but it's very hard to choose which one you like more. And just because this one's different, the action, the grind, I'm going to go with this one. And they're both great, though. So, like, if you argued and said why this one was better, I would only agree with you. Because, like I said, tomorrow I can maybe want to delete this video because I said that. Because I like this one so much. And you can't middle finger flick this one you can. And it's very, very reliable. I mean, the fit and the finish, everything. I like that this one's like sandwiched together the way it is. This is a 3-piece construction. But yeah, and I love getting nice and close to the blade like that, man. You can really get some good work. And this, which one's more comfortable? That's a good question. This one is super comfortable. This one has it, though. This one's definitely, because you got this finger choil if you want it. But even back here, both of them, they are very, very close. Like, I mean, it's almost too close to tell, but this one definitely is a little tiny bit more comfortable. So hard choices there, guys. Which one do you guys like more between these two? Let me know. There's the review. I love you guys. Peace.